The signal came from the third planet of a yellow star, weak and primitive by galactic standards. Ambassador Veltar examined the transmission data on his viewing screen, his four eyes blinking in dismissal. The mathematical patterns were simple, the language crude, and the technology barely capable of reaching beyond their own atmosphere. Another Garden World species, he told his aide. File them under Category 7. Peaceful herbivores, most likely. The aide, a young Nixari with bright purple skin, nodded quickly. Should we prepare a standard integration protocol, Ambassador? Veltar waved one of his 6 arms carelessly. Eventually, let them advance a few more centuries first. No point in uplifting them until they can at least build proper starships. 3 sectors away, Chief Researcher Quindal studied the biological data they had gathered from the transmissions. The creatures called themselves humans, and their physical specifications were laughably weak. Low bone density, single heart, only 2 eyes, and most amusing of all, they came from a world with such gentle gravity that they could barely lift their own body weight. Look at this, Quindal called to her research team, displaying a hologram of human anatomy. They have only 4 limbs. Their skin has no natural armor. They cannot even see in multiple light spectrums. How did evolution create something so fragile? Her assistant, a Calarian with natural crystal growths along his arms, studied the data. Perhaps their world has no predators, Research Chief. Some garden worlds produce very delicate life forms. That must be it, Quindal agreed. Their planet shows no signs of major disasters, no extreme weather patterns, no dangerous radiation. They evolved in perfect safety. No wonder they are so weak. The research team filed their report. Species designated as human poses no military threat. Recommend peaceful contact in 50 standard years when they have developed more advanced technology. Current assessment, harmless garden world inhabitants. On the distant planet Earth, Captain Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's first ship capable of traveling faster than light. The vessel was not beautiful by any standard. It was built from recycled military parts, civilian technology, and whatever materials Earth's industries could spare. But it flew, and it could fight if needed. Captain, we're receiving multiple signals, reported Lieutenant Park So-min from her station. Unknown origin, but they're definitely artificial. Someone is trying to communicate. Lee Dae-ho felt his heart rate increase. First contact. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Can you decode the signals? He asked. Working on it, sir. The patterns are complex, but our computers are making progress. Behind them, Sergeant Kim Tae-woo looked up from his engineering station. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the system, multiple contacts moving in formation. The bridge fell silent. Lee Dae-ho moved to the tactical display, studying the readings. Whatever was coming toward Earth, it was big, very big. How many ships? He asked quietly. Computer estimates over 200 vessels, sir. The largest ones are 10 times bigger than anything we've ever built. In the medical bay, Corporal Yoon Hae-rin was preparing emergency supplies when the ship's communication system crackled to life. The captain's voice filled every section of the vessel. All hands, this is Captain Lee. We have confirmed contact with alien vessels. They are approaching Earth's solar system with what appears to be a military fleet. All personnel prepare for possible combat operations. Yoon Hae-rin closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of her family back on Earth. Her parents lived in Seoul, believing their daughter was on a routine patrol mission. They had no idea she might be humanity's first line of defense against an alien invasion. On the flagship of the approaching Nixari fleet, War Prime Zethkol reviewed the intelligence reports with growing amusement. The local species had detected their approach, which showed they had basic sensor technology, but their response was almost comical. They have deployed 12 vessels against our fleet of 200, his tactical officer reported. Each of their ships is smaller than our escort frigates. Zethkol's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. Brave little creatures, aren't they? Do they actually think they can fight us? Perhaps they do not understand our capabilities, War Prime. Of course they don't. Look at them. Their ships are built like pleasure craft, not warships. They probably think this is some kind of greeting ceremony. The War Prime activated the fleet's communication array, preparing to broadcast on all frequencies the primitive humans might be monitoring. The message would be simple and direct, as befitted creatures with such limited intelligence. Back on the Defiance, the crew gathered around the main display as the alien transmission came through. The universal translator worked slowly, converting the alien language into words they could understand. Greetings, inhabitants of the Third World. I am War Prime Zethkol of the Nexari Empire, speaking for the Galactic Coalition. We come to welcome you into civilized space. Lee Daeho felt a moment of hope. Perhaps this would be peaceful after all. The alien voice continued. Your species shows promise, but you are clearly not ready for independence. We will take custody of your world for your own protection. Surrender immediately and you will be treated well. Resistance will only cause unnecessary suffering for your people. The bridge fell silent again. Lieutenant Park So-min was the first to speak. Sir, they're not here for peaceful contact. They want to conquer us. Lee Daeho stared at the display showing the massive alien fleet. 200 warships against 12 human vessels. The odds were impossible, but surrender was not an option. Humanity had not spent centuries reaching for the stars, only to become slaves on their first day among them. Open a channel to the alien fleet, he ordered. Channel open, Captain. Lee Daeho took a deep breath. His next words would determine whether humanity lived free or died fighting. War Prime Zethkol. This is Captain Lee Daeho of the United Earthship Defiance. Earth is our home, and we will defend it. If you want our world, you will have to take it from us. In the alien flagship, Zethkol heard the response with surprise. Garden world species usually surrendered immediately when faced with superior force. These humans seemed different, though he could not understand why. Tactical. What threat assessment do you give their fleet? Minimal, War Prime. Their weapons appear to be simple chemical rockets and basic energy beams. Their armor is thin metal, plating. We could destroy them all in less than 10 minutes. Then we shall give them that demonstration. Perhaps watching their fleet die will convince their planetary leaders to be more reasonable. Zethkol did not know he was about to learn. The first rule of fighting Deathworlders. Never assume you understand them until you see them bleed. War Prime Zethkol stood before the holographic display in the Coalition Council chambers, his 6 arms gesturing confidently as he addressed the assembled representatives. The chamber held delegates from dozens of species, each one evolved on peaceful worlds under gentle suns. Honored council members, Zethkol began, his voice carrying across the vast hall. The human situation requires immediate intervention. These primitive creatures have rejected our generous offer of protection. They actually believe they can resist the might of the Coalition fleet. Council Speaker Morvex, a tall being with crystalline skin that reflected the chamber's lights, leaned forward in his floating chair. War Prime, surely you can handle a single garden world without troubling the full council? Of course, honored speaker. But I wish to demonstrate the Coalition's mercy to our newest subjects. The humans need to understand that resistance is not only futile but unnecessary. We are here to help them, not harm them. Ambassador Veltar activated his communication device from his seat in the diplomatic section. I have studied their transmissions extensively, council members. These humans are remarkably naive. Their entertainment broadcasts show them engaging in mock combat, but it appears to be purely ceremonial. They have no concept of real warfare. A delegate from the Calarian sector, her crystal growths glowing softly, spoke up. What of their military vessels? Surely they must have some defensive capabilities. Zethkol's mandibles clicked in amusement. Their largest warship is smaller than our supply shuttles. Their weapons fire simple metal projectiles using chemical explosions. By our standards, they are fighting with sticks and stones. Chief Researcher Quindal transmitted her biological assessment to the Council's central display. My analysis confirms the War Prime's evaluation. Humans are physically weak, emotionally unstable, and prone to panic under pressure. Their bone structure cannot withstand high acceleration forces. Their single heart makes them vulnerable to any disruption of blood flow. Most importantly, they have no natural weapons or armor. "What is your recommended approach, War Prime?" asked Morvex. "A simple demonstration of power should suffice. We will disable their primitive fleet without destroying it, allowing their leaders to witness our technological superiority. Once they understand their helplessness, they will gratefully accept coalition protection." The council voted unanimously to approve the operation. Several delegates commented that it would serve as good training for Nexari forces, who had not seen real action in over a century of peace. "Make it swift and clean," Morvex ordered. "We want these humans to join galactic civilization, not fear it." Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, the human fleet had taken defensive positions around their homeworld. Captain Lee Daeho held an emergency conference with his fellow ship commanders, their faces grim on the communication screens. "Their fleet is spread across a formation that spans half the solar system," reported Captain Kim Jong-soo from the destroyer Incheon. "Our tactical computers cannot even calculate targeting solutions at this range." "What about their individual ships?" asked Captain Park Min-ho from the cruiser Busan. Lieutenant Park So-min, monitoring the conference from her station, provided the analysis. "Each of their large vessels appears to have more firepower than our entire fleet combined. Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Lee Daeho studied the tactical display showing the alien formation. The enemy ships moved with perfect precision, maintaining exact distances and speeds. It was the formation of a force that had never faced serious resistance. "They are treating this like a parade," he realized. "Look at their positioning. No overlapping fields of fire, no screening elements, no reserve forces. They expect us to surrender without a fight." On Earth's surface, Admiral Choi Won-sik stood in the Global Defense Command Center, surrounded by screens showing every human military installation on the planet. Representatives from every nation were present, old enemies now united by the threat from space. "Admiral, our orbital platforms report the alien fleet is maintaining position at maximum sensor range," reported his communications officer. "They seem to be waiting for something." "They are giving us time to consider surrender," Choi Won-sik said quietly. "They think we will see their numbers and give up hope." General Nakamura from the Pacific Defense Force spoke from her console. "Sir, our psychological profiles suggest these aliens have never fought a desperate enemy. Their formations, their communications, even their ultimatum shows they expect easy victory." "What do you recommend, General?" "Give them what they expect, Admiral. Let them think we are the weak garden world species they believe us to be. When they move in for the capture, we show them what Earth actually taught us." Back on the Nexari flagship, Zethkol received reports from his scout vessels. "War Prime, the human fleet has withdrawn to close orbit around their planet. They appear to be forming a defensive shell." "Predictable," Zethkol replied. "Garden world species always try to hide behind their homeworld when faced with superior force. Begin the approach. Standard intimidation formation. We will give them one final chance to surrender before we disable their ships." His tactical officer hesitated. "Sir, should we scan for orbital defenses? Some primitive species build fixed weapon platforms." "Unnecessary. Our sensors would have detected any significant military installations. These humans have put everything they have into those 12 ships. Once we neutralize their fleet, their planet will be defenseless." The Nexari fleet began its approach, 200 vessels moving in perfect formation toward Earth. Their energy shields glowed with power, their weapon systems charged and ready. It was meant to be a demonstration of invincible force, designed to crush any thought of resistance. On the Defiance, Corporal Yoon Hae-rin made final preparations in the medical bay. She had studied alien anatomy from the transmissions they had intercepted, noting weaknesses that might be exploited in close combat. Her medical training told her exactly where these enemies could be hurt most efficiently. "Sergeant Kim Tae-woo, to all ships," came the voice over the communication system. "I have completed modifications to our weapon systems. We may not be able to match their firepower, but we can make every shot count where it hurts them most." The alien fleet drew closer, confident in their overwhelming superiority. War Prime Zethkul prepared to broadcast his final ultimatum, expecting the humans to surrender the moment they saw his fleet's true power. He did not know that humans had been preparing for this moment not for months, but for millions of years. Every war, every disaster, every struggle for survival had been training for the day when Earth's children would face an enemy that wanted to take everything from them. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth was called a death world. The first battle began near Mars, where 3 human destroyers had taken position behind the red planet's largest moon. War Prime Zethkul watched from his command ship as his advance squadron moved to engage what appeared to be a desperate last stand. Human vessels detected, his tactical officer reported. They are hiding behind the satellite, probably hoping we will not find them. Pitiful, Zethkul muttered. Order the lead squadron to disable their engines and weapons. We want them alive for questioning. The Nexari squadron, 6 heavy cruisers, each 3 times the size of the human ships, approached with casual confidence, their energy weapons powered up, ready to deliver precise shots that would cripple without destroying. What happened next changed everything. The galaxy thought it knew about warfare. Captain Park Min-ho, commanding the destroyer Seoul, waited until the alien ships were close enough to see their individual weapon ports. Then he opened a channel to his sister ships. This is Seoul. Remember what we discussed. For Earth. For humanity. Busan acknowledges. It has been an honor. Daegu confirms. See you in the next life. The 3 human destroyers suddenly broke from cover, not retreating as expected, but charging directly at the alien formation. Their primitive nuclear engines burned at maximum power, accelerating the small ships to speeds that should have killed their crews. What are they doing? Demanded Zethkul's tactical officer. They are on a collision course with our ships. On the Seoul, Captain Park Min-ho felt the crushing force of acceleration pressing him into his command chair. His crew worked at their stations despite the pain, because they had trained for this moment since childhood. Every human learned to function under stress that would incapacitate most galactic species. Target the lead cruiser, he ordered through gritted teeth. All weapons, maximum yield. The Seoul's missiles and energy beams struck the Nexari cruisers' shields, causing minor damage but serving a more important purpose. The alien ship's automatic defenses focused on the incoming projectiles, not on the ship itself. At the last moment, Park Min-ho smiled. Tell my family I kept my promise. The Seoul struck the Nexari cruiser at nearly 1/10 the speed of light. The kinetic energy released was equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The alien ship's shields, designed to stop energy beams and missiles, provided no protection against a guided projectile with the mass of an entire starship. The explosion vaporized both vessels instantly. 2 seconds later, the Busan and Daegu followed their sister ship into glory, taking 2 more alien cruisers with them. In less than 10 seconds, half of the Nexari advance squadron was gone. Impossible, whispered Zethkul. No rational species would deliberately destroy their own ships. It makes no tactical sense. His communication officer was receiving frantic transmissions from the surviving cruisers. War Prime, the squadron commander, reports that the humans destroyed themselves on purpose. They used their own ships as weapons. Lieutenant Park So-min, monitoring the battle from the Defiance, felt tears streaming down her face as she watched 3 ships disappear from her sensors. But her voice remained steady as she reported to Captain Lee Dae-ho. Seoul, Busan, and Daegu are gone, sir. They took 3 alien cruisers with them. The enemy advance squadron is retreating. Lee Dae-ho closed his eyes for a moment, honoring the sacrifice of his fellow captains. Then he opened the communication channel to the remaining human fleet. All ships, this is Defiance. Our brothers have shown the enemy what humans do when our home is threatened. Now we show them what happens when they make us angry. On the alien flagship, Chief Researcher Quindal stared at the biological readouts from the destroyed human ships. The data made no sense according to everything she thought she knew about the species. War Prime, I need to revise my assessment of human capabilities. The acceleration forces those ships endured should have rendered their crews unconscious. Instead, they remained functional until impact. Explain, Zethkul demanded. Their bone density readings were wrong. These humans have skeletal structures 3 times denser than we calculated. Their muscle fiber composition suggests they evolved under extreme physical stress. Warprime, these beings are not from a garden world. Ambassador Veltar, monitoring the conversation from the diplomatic section, felt the first stirrings of unease. "What are you saying, Research Chief?" "I am saying, we may have made a terrible mistake. Look at their planet again. What we thought was a stable, peaceful world shows signs of massive climate variations, frequent natural disasters, and evolutionary pressure that would create... Create what?" Zethkol snapped. "Apex predators." The words hung in the air like a curse. Every species in the galaxy knew what apex predators were, even if none had seen one in thousands of years. They were the ultimate survivors, the species that sat at the top of their world's food chain, the ones who had fought and killed and adapted until nothing could threaten them. Captain Lee Daeho's voice suddenly filled the alien ship's communication system. Somehow the humans had hacked into the Nexari fleet's internal network. "Warprime Zethkol, this is Captain Lee Daeho. You wanted to know what humans are capable of. You just saw 3 of our ships die to protect our home. Now let me tell you what Earth taught us." The transmission continued as Lee Daeho spoke directly to the alien fleet. "We are the children of a world that has tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, plagues, predators, and disasters you cannot imagine. Every single one of our ancestors survived by being stronger, smarter, and more determined than the threats that faced them." On the Defiance, Sergeant Kim Tae-woo worked frantically at his engineering station, implementing modifications he had designed during the long journey to intercept the alien fleet. The enemy's technology was more advanced, but it was also predictable. It had been built by species that never faced desperate enemies. "Captain, modifications complete," he reported. "Our weapons now fire projectiles designed specifically to penetrate their shield frequencies. Their armor was never designed to stop kinetic rounds accelerated by shaped charges." Corporal Yoon Hai-rin, meanwhile, had completed her analysis of alien physiology from the medical scans they had taken during the battle. "Sir, I have identified 17 critical weakness points in Nexari anatomy. If we board their ships, I can guide our Marines to disable their crews efficiently." Warprime Zethkol realized with growing horror that his enemy was adapting faster than he had thought possible. The humans had analyzed his technology, found its weaknesses, and developed countermeasures all in the span of a single battle. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science team. "Warprime," came the reply. "We believe these humans evolved as persistence hunters. They are designed to track their prey over vast distances, learning its patterns and weaknesses until they can predict its every move. Then they strike with perfect precision." The alien fleet began to spread out, trying to avoid another ramming attack. But the humans were no longer running. The remaining 9 ships of Earth's fleet were advancing, their primitive hulls modified, with salvaged alien technology and weapons that no civilized species would think to create. "Warprime," his tactical officer reported with growing panic. "The humans are not retreating. They are hunting us." Zethkol stared at his display showing the human fleet moving through space with the coordinated precision of a pack of predators closing in on wounded prey. For the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. "All ships," he ordered, his voice carrying across the Nexari fleet. "Prepare for combat operations. We are not dealing with garden world herbivores. We are fighting apex predators from a death world." The galaxy's greatest military force was about to learn what happened when predators went to war. Admiral Choi Won-sik stood in the Global Defense Command Center, watching as reports flooded in from across Earth's solar system. The first engagement had cost them 3 ships, but it had also revealed something crucial about their enemy. "They expected us to surrender after seeing their numbers," he said to his assembled staff. "They brought parade formations to a knife fight. Now we teach them what Earth children do when cornered." He activated the planetary communication system, broadcasting to every human settlement from Luna City to the Mars colonies. "Citizens of Earth, this is Admiral Choi. Our enemy has shown their hand. They are strong, but they are not prepared. For war against Deathworlders, Operation Earthstorm is now active. Across human space, hidden installations that had been disguised as mining platforms, research stations, and communication relays suddenly came online. What the aliens had dismissed as civilian infrastructure revealed itself as the most deviously concealed military network in galactic history. Captain Lee Dae-ho received the activation codes on the Defiance and felt a grim smile cross his face. "Lieutenant Park, patch me into the alien fleet's communication system again." "Channel open, Captain." Lee Dae-ho's voice reached every ship in the Nexari fleet. "War Prime Zethkol, you wanted to see what a death world produces. Allow me to show you." The transmission included data files that Chief Researcher Quindal's computers automatically analyzed. What she saw made her blood run cold. Images of Earth's history flashed across Nexari screens. Massive extinctions, ice ages that covered continents, volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun, asteroid impacts that shattered continents. "War Prime," she reported with growing horror. "This planet has experienced 5 major extinction events. Each time, life survived and became stronger. The species that evolved here had to be perfect killers just to see another day. But the historical data was nothing compared to what came next." Admiral Choi's broadcast continued with footage of human warfare, medieval battles, world wars, nuclear weapons, and the endless creativity humans showed in finding new ways to destroy their enemies. "We have been making war for 6 million years," Lee Dae-ho's voice continued. "We perfected it long before we reached for the stars. What you see as primitive technology, we see as proven methods. What you call impossible tactics, we call Tuesday." War Prime Zethkol watched in disbelief as the human fleet began to separate, each ship taking a different vector toward his formation. This was not standard fleet tactics. This was something else entirely. Tactical, explain their movement patterns. "War Prime, I cannot. They are not following any recognized military doctrine. Each ship appears to be operating independently, but their movements suggest perfect coordination." On the Defiance, Lieutenant Park So-min coordinated the fleet's attack using principles borrowed from Earth's most successful predators. "Wolfpack formation, all ships. Captain Kim Jong-soo, take your group and circle behind their formation. Captain Lee Min-ho, begin harassment attacks on their flanks. Make them focus on you." The Nexari fleet found itself facing something no galactic military had prepared for, enemies that fought like a coordinated pack of hunters. The humans struck from multiple directions simultaneously, never where expected, always targeting the weakest points of the alien formation. Sergeant Kim Tae-woo had spent months studying captured alien technology, and now his modifications paid off. The human weapons, primitive by galactic standards, had been rebuilt with one goal in mind: penetrating advanced alien defenses through methods no civilized species would consider. Firing kinetic penetrators, he reported as the Defiance. Engaged a Nexari heavy cruiser. The alien ship's energy shields, designed to stop beam weapons and guided missiles, provided no protection against solid metal rods accelerated to incredible speeds by human ingenuity. The projectiles punched through the alien hull like paper, causing massive decompression throughout the enemy vessel. The Nexari crew, evolved on a world with stable atmospheric pressure, could not function in the partial vacuum that followed. Corporal Yoon Hai-rin monitored the alien distress signals and felt no pity. These beings had come to enslave her species. Now they were learning what happened when predators felt their young were threatened. "Captain, I am detecting biological distress signals from the enemy ships. Their crews are not adapted for combat in damaged vessels. Recommendation: target their life support systems." It was a tactic no civilized species would consider. In galactic warfare, life support was considered off-limits, a basic rule of civilized combat. But humans had never agreed to those rules, and Earth had never taught them to fight fair. Captain Lee Dae-ho felt no hesitation. "All ships, target alien life support systems. Make their ships unlivable." The effect was devastating. Nexari crews, faced with failing atmosphere processors and damaged environmental controls, began abandoning their posts. Ships that had been Functional moments before became drifting hulks as their crews evacuated to escape pods. War Prime Zethkol watched his fleet disintegrate around him and realized he was facing something beyond his experience. Communications. Send an emergency. Transmission to the Coalition Council. Tell them we need immediate reinforcements. War Prime, the humans are jamming our long-range communications. I cannot reach the Council. Then use the courier drones. Sir, the humans destroyed our courier drones 17 minutes ago. They targeted them specifically as if they knew exactly what they were for. On the Defiance, Lieutenant Park So-min had indeed identified and neutralized the alien communication drones. Her cyber warfare training, learned from Earth's most paranoid intelligence agencies, had prepared her for exactly this situation. Captain, the aliens are cut off from their command structure. They cannot call for help, and they cannot coordinate with forces outside the system. Lee Dae-ho nodded grimly. Then we end this now, before they adapt to our tactics. The remaining human ships converged on the Nexari flagship, moving with the deadly grace of sharks closing in on wounded prey. They had learned everything they needed to know about alien technology, alien tactics, and alien weaknesses. War Prime Zethkol found himself surrounded by 9 small human vessels that had somehow disabled or destroyed over 50 ships of his fleet. His remaining forces were scattered and demoralized, their crews evacuating faster than his officers could stop them. War Prime, his tactical officer reported with obvious panic. The humans are requesting permission to board. Requesting permission? Yes, sir. They are asking us to surrender our ship voluntarily. They claim it will be easier for everyone involved. Zethkol stared at his display in disbelief. These Deathworlders had systematically destroyed his fleet, cut him off from reinforcements, and cornered his flagship. Now they were asking politely if they could come aboard. Captain Lee Dae-ho's voice came over the communication system one final time. War Prime, you came to our system to enslave our people. We have shown you what happens when you threaten Earth's children. You have one choice now. Surrender your ship, or we will take it from you. Either way, you are coming with us. What do you intend to do with us? Zethkol asked. We intend to send a message to your Coalition Council. We are going to show the galaxy exactly what Deathworlders are capable of when someone threatens their home. The War Prime looked at his remaining crew, saw the fear in their eyes, and realized he had no choice. These humans had defeated his fleet not through superior technology but through superior understanding of warfare itself. I surrender my ship, he said quietly. Wise choice, came Lee Dae-ho's reply. Welcome to your education in Deathworld tactics. The emergency session of the Galactic Coalition Council lasted 3 full days. Representatives from 47 species gathered to address what they now called the Sol Incident. The recorded transmissions from War Prime Zethkol's fleet had reached them through automated emergency beacons, and the content had shaken the foundations of galactic civilization. Council Speaker Morvex floated at the center of the great chamber, his crystalline form reflecting the urgent lights of the Yab emergency session. The facts are clear, he announced to the assembled delegates. A primitive species from an unknown class of world has destroyed a coalition enforcement fleet using tactics that violate every rule of civilized warfare. Ambassador Veltar, his usual confidence replaced by visible anxiety, addressed the chamber. Honored Speaker, my analysis was clearly incomplete. These humans are not Garden World inhabitants. They are something else entirely. What do you recommend? Asked the delegate from the Calarian Confederation. Complete extermination, Veltar replied without hesitation. If we allow this species to develop further, they will become a threat to galactic peace. They must be eliminated before they can spread their violent nature to other worlds. Chief Researcher Quindal transmitted her updated analysis to the chamber's central display. I have reviewed all available data on the human homeworld. What we classified as a garden world is actually something far more dangerous. The planet shows evidence of constant evolutionary pressure, mass extinctions, and environmental extremes that would kill most galactic life forms. The chamber fell silent as delegates studied the data. Images of Earth's history filled their displays: asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, ice ages, and the endless cycle of death and adaptation that had forged humanity into the perfect survivors. They call it a death world, Quindal continued. A classification we have no equivalent for in our databases. It is a world that actively tries to kill its inhabitants, forcing them to become stronger with each generation. Council Speaker Morvex made the decision that would define the next era of galactic history. We cannot allow apex predators to threaten civilized space. I am authorizing the formation of the largest military fleet in Coalition history. We will end this threat permanently. The orders went out across Coalition space. Every member species would contribute ships and crews for the final solution to the human problem. The fleet that assembled numbered over 1,000 vessels, representing the combined military might of nearly 50 worlds. Fleet Commander Torandis, the Coalition's most experienced military leader, took command of the Armada from his flagship, a massive dreadnought that could destroy planets. As he reviewed the tactical data on human capabilities, he felt confident that overwhelming force would succeed where Zeth Kol had failed. The humans demonstrated dangerous cunning against a single fleet, he told his staff officers. But cunning cannot overcome mathematics. We outnumber them 100 to 1. In Earth's solar system, Admiral Choi Won-sik stood in the expanded command center that now coordinated humanity's war effort. The captured Nexari vessels had been stripped of their technology and rebuilt according to human specifications. What emerged were ships that no galactic engineer would recognize as the original designs. Admiral, our scouts report a massive coalition fleet approaching from multiple vectors, reported his intelligence officer. Preliminary count exceeds 1,000 vessels. Choi Won-sik studied the tactical display showing the approaching armada. It was the largest military force in galactic history, assembled for the sole purpose of wiping humanity from existence. They learn slowly, he observed. After losing 200 ships, they decided to bring 5 times more. They still think this is about numbers. Captain Lee Dae-ho, now commanding a small fleet of captured and modified alien vessels, opened a communication channel to the Admiral. Sir, my engineering teams have completed modifications to the captured ships. Sergeant Kim Tae-woo has some very interesting improvements to report. Kim Tae-woo's voice came over the channel from his workshop aboard the captured Nexari flagship. Admiral, we have reverse-engineered their shield technology and found ways to make it better. Their weapon systems were built for show rather than efficiency. We have fixed that problem. The modifications were typically human, practical, brutal, and effective. Where alien engineers had built elegant systems designed to impress, humans had rebuilt them for one purpose only: to kill enemies as efficiently as possible. Corporal Yoon Hae-rin had also been busy, leading a team of combat medics in developing biological weapons specifically designed to target alien physiology. Sir, we have identified chemical compounds that will incapacitate most coalition species without harming humans. We can deploy these through their air recycling systems. Admiral Choi Won-sik felt pride in his species' adaptability. Faced with extinction, humanity had done what it always did. It had adapted, improvised, and overcome. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Choi. The enemy believes that superior numbers guarantee victory. They are about to learn why Earth spent millions of years teaching us that survival is not about being the biggest predator. It is about being the smartest. When the Coalition fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, they found what appeared to be a small human force of less than 50 ships. Fleet Commander Torandis smiled with satisfaction as his sensors confirmed the enemy numbers. Begin. Standard envelopment tactics, he ordered. We will surround them and demand surrender. If they refuse, we destroy them completely. The Coalition fleet began to spread out, forming a massive sphere around the human vessels. It was a textbook maneuver, designed to prevent escape and demonstrate overwhelming superiority. Captain Lee Dae-ho, watching from the bridge of his modified flagship, opened a channel to the enemy fleet. Fleet Commander Torandis, this is Captain Lee Dae-ho of the Human Defense Force. You have come to our system with the intent of committing genocide against our species. We consider this an act of war. Surrender immediately, Torandis replied, and your deaths will be quick. Lee Dae-ho's response was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring every ship in both fleets could hear it. Commander, you made the same mistake as your predecessor. You assume that because we are outnumbered, we are defeated. Let me explain what you are really facing. Lieutenant Park So-min activated the tactical display, showing the true scope of human preparations. Hidden throughout the solar system, disguised as asteroids, space debris, and abandoned satellites, were thousands of automated defense platforms. You see 50 ships, Lee Dae-ho continued, but you are actually surrounded by a defense network that has been waiting for you. Every piece of matter in this system that is larger than a pebble is now a potential weapon. Sergeant Kim Tae-woo triggered the first wave of attacks. Across the solar system, what appeared to be harmless space rocks suddenly revealed themselves as kinetic bombardment platforms, launching projectiles at significant fractions of light speed directly into the coalition formation. The effect was devastating. Ships that had expected to face primitive human vessels instead found themselves under attack from directions they had never thought to defend against. The elegant formations of the coalition fleet dissolved into chaos as vessels tried to maneuver away from threats that seemed to come from empty space. Impossible, breathed Torandis as his fleet began to take casualties. How did they weaponize an entire star system? Admiral Choi 16's voice answered him over the communication channel. Commander, you are fighting the children of a world that taught us to use everything as a weapon. You brought 1,000 ships to fight 50. We brought 50 ships and 10,000 hidden guns. The coalition fleet, built for conventional warfare between civilized species, had no answer for an enemy that had turned their entire solar system into a weapon. As ship after ship fell to attacks from unexpected directions, Fleet Commander Torandis realized he was not commanding a battle. He was commanding a slaughter, and humanity was just getting started. The coalition fleet that limped away from Earth's solar system bore little resemblance to the mighty armada that had arrived with such confidence. Of the 1,000 vessels that had come to end the human threat, fewer than 400 remained functional. The rest drifted as debris or fled as damaged hulks, their crews traumatized by an enemy that fought with methods no civilized species could comprehend. Fleet Commander Torandis sat in his damaged command center, staring at the tactical reports that would reshape galactic civilization. His flagship, once the pride of coalition engineering, now bore scars from human weapons that had penetrated shields designed to stop planet-killing beams. Communications. Send an immediate message to the Coalition Council, he ordered, his voice hollow with defeat. Tell them the human threat cannot be eliminated by conventional warfare. Tell them we need to reconsider everything we thought we knew about military science. The emergency session that followed lasted for weeks. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to study the battle recordings, trying to understand how a primitive species had defeated the greatest military force in galactic history. Council Speaker Morvex floated before the assembled delegates, his crystalline form dimmed by exhaustion and stress. The facts are undeniable, he announced. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that challenge our fundamental understanding of warfare and survival. Ambassador Veltar, now stripped of his diplomatic rank due to his catastrophic misassessment of humanity, watched from the observer section as Chief Researcher Quindal presented her final analysis. Honored council members, Quindal began, I have spent months studying human tactical recordings and captured human technology. What we face is not simply a militarily superior species. We face the apex predators of a death world, beings evolved specifically to survive and overcome any threat. The holographic displays filled with images from the Battle of Sol, human ships using impossible maneuvers that should have killed their crews, kinetic weapons that treated advanced shields as meaningless barriers, and tactical coordination that resembled the hunting patterns of the galaxy's most dangerous extinct predators. They turned their entire star system into a weapon, Quindal continued. Every asteroid, every piece of space debris, every abandoned satellite was positioned and programmed as part of a defense network that took them decades to construct. While we saw them as primitive, they were preparing for the day someone would try to take their home. War Prime Zethkol, now a prisoner of war held in human custody, had provided extensive testimony about human capabilities. His reports painted a picture of beings so thoroughly adapted for violence that they could improvise weapons from any available materials, and coordinate attacks with perfect precision, even while under fire. Most disturbing, Quindal noted, is their capacity for what they call asymmetric warfare. They do not fight to win battles. They fight to break their enemy's will to continue fighting. Every tactic they employ is designed not just to destroy ships, but to create psychological trauma in surviving crews. The council chamber fell silent as delegates absorbed this information. For thousands of years, galactic warfare had been conducted according to civilized rules. Formal declarations, proportional responses, and respect for non-combatants. The humans had ignored all such conventions. Fighting with the single-minded focus of a species that had learned extinction was the price of defeat. "What do you recommend?" asked the delegate from the Calarian Confederation, her crystal growths flickering with anxiety. Council Speaker Morvex considered the question that would define the next era of galactic civilization. 3 separate military expeditions had failed to subdue a single world. The humans had not only survived but had captured coalition technology, reverse-engineered it, and improved it beyond its original specifications. "We negotiate," he said, finally. The word sent shockwaves through the chamber. The coalition had never negotiated with a species it had marked for conquest. But then, the coalition had never faced Death Worlders before. 3 months later, Captain Li Dae-ho stood in the renovated Coalition Council chambers, but now as humanity's first official ambassador to galactic civilization. The same chamber that had once voted unanimously for humanity's destruction now hosted delegates who regarded humans with a mixture of fear, respect, and careful politeness. The human fleet that accompanied Li Dae-ho to the negotiations consisted of captured coalition vessels so thoroughly rebuilt that their original designers would not recognize them. Admiral Choi Won-sik remained in Earth's solar system, coordinating the construction of humanity's first true interstellar navy, using a combination of human engineering and captured alien technology. "Honored delegates," Li Dae-ho began, his words translated into dozens of alien languages. "Humanity did not seek war with the coalition. We responded to threats against our homeworld and our people. Now we stand ready to discuss our place in galactic civilization." War Prime Zethkol, released from human custody as a gesture of goodwill, sat in the military observer section. His once proud bearing had been replaced by the careful wariness of someone who had seen apex predators at work. When called upon to address the council, his testimony was brief and devastating. "Honored council members," he said, "I have spent months studying human military doctrine while in their custody. They showed me recordings of their species' history, their methods of warfare, and their capacity for violence. We are fortunate they chose to show restraint." "Explain," demanded Council Speaker Morvex. "The weapons they used against our fleets were defensive systems designed to protect their homeworld. They have weapons we never saw, tactics we never faced, and capabilities they chose not to demonstrate. If humanity had wanted to conquer coalition space, they could have done so." Lieutenant Park So-min, now serving as humanity's military attaché, provided additional context that sent chills through the assembled delegates. "The humans have a saying, 'We are not trapped in here with you, you are trapped in here with us.' Their defensive victory at Sol was not the limit of their capabilities. It was a demonstration of their restraint. Sergeant Kim Tae-woo, representing humanity's Technological Integration Committee, displayed holographic projections of human improvements to coalition technology. "We have taken your designs and made them more efficient, more durable, and more effective. In 6 months, we have advanced your engineering by decades. This is what Death Worlders do when given access to new tools." The message was clear. Humanity could improve upon galactic technology faster than galactic civilizations could develop it. They were not just militarily superior. They were evolutionarily superior, adapted by their harsh homeworld to excel at any challenge they encountered. Corporal Yunhai Rin, now serving as humanity's xenobiological specialist, provided the most disturbing revelation of all. "We have studied the physiology of every coalition species. We understand your weaknesses, your evolutionary limitations, and your psychological vulnerabilities. We know how to defeat any of you individually or all of you collectively. Council Speaker Morvex realized that humanity held all the advantages in any negotiation. They had proven their military superiority, demonstrated their technological adaptability, and shown their capacity for strategic thinking that spanned decades. Most importantly, they had shown mercy when they could have shown none. "What are humanity's terms?" he asked. Captain Lee Daeho smiled, but it was the smile of a predator that had chosen not to hunt. "We want what we have always wanted: peaceful coexistence, mutual trade, and the right to explore the galaxy without interference. We will share our improvements to your technology in exchange for access to galactic knowledge and resources. And if species choose to threaten humanity, then they will learn what happened to your fleets at Sol. We will defend ourselves, our allies, and our interests with the same efficiency we demonstrated against your invasion forces." The treaty that emerged from those negotiations became known as the Sol Accords, the document that formally recognized humanity as not just another galactic species, but as the apex predators of known space. Trade agreements followed, along with mutual defense pacts and cultural exchange programs. Admiral Choi Won-sik's final report to Earth Command, transmitted from the bridge of humanity's new flagship, summarized the transformation that had occurred. Humanity has taken its place among the stars not as the galaxy's victims, but as its newest apex predators. We were tested by fire and emerged stronger. The galaxy now understands what Earth creates when it spends millions of years trying to kill its children. In the years that followed, human ships would be seen throughout galactic space, their crews serving as peacekeepers, explorers, and traders. But every species that encountered them remembered the lessons of Sol. Death Worlders were not to be threatened, cornered, or underestimated. Lieutenant Park So-min, now commanding her own exploration vessel, sent regular reports back to Earth describing the wonders of galactic civilization. But her final log entry captured the essence of humanity's new role. "We are the children of Earth, carrying our homeworld's lessons to the stars. We hope for peace, prepare for war, and remember always that we are the survivors of the galaxy's harshest teacher." The galaxy had learned to